Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be talking about all the books that I read in May of 2026. I read 7 different books. I'd say it's about average for me. I think 5 is my low this month or this year and 9 is my high. So 7's right in the middle of that. I'm okay with it. I always want to read more books, but I also want to enjoy the books that I'm reading and take my time and really absorb the information. So, let's go over everything. I read 7 books, which was 2,839 pages. One of the books was very long, so that checks out. I read every single day this month, and I read 4 physical, well, 3 definitely physical. One was I read on my Kindle, but I do own a physical copy of it. I just don't have it with me, which is why I read it on my Kindle. And then I did 1 full audiobook. So let's go over everything that I read, and then we'll go over stats at the end. My space is a little bit, not organized because I've been trying to plan for Herc 3 and looking at my books and all of that stuff. So yeah, let's go over and start with number 7. So we're gonna do this in a ranking order per usual. My least favorite book that I read this past month was Beneath by Ariel Sullivan, which makes me extremely sad because I really liked Conform. Conform was, is like, so here's how I understand this series is gonna be. It's a dystopian series set in the future where in the main timeline, there are 3 different classes of people. There are the people who are like really rich and live in the clouds, the normies who live on the ground, and then the underclass who live underneath ground. And this is a prequel series to that. So it's the first book in that prequel series about the people who live underground and how before all of this started. Here's the thing. I gave this, I believe, 2 stars. The writing, I did not find the character as likable as in the first one. It's not like I loved the first character, but she was not as smart, let's say. And I did appreciate like the PTSD rep. I don't have PTSD. Well, anyway. So thinking about something nonstop and having it change your life choices is definitely something that needs to be represented in books, and is great that it was in here. So I appreciate that. Was that well done? I'm not sure. But I just didn't find the character to be very likable, and the twists and turns were not what I would expect, I guess I'm gonna say. I don't want to spoil the book. I just didn't think it was as good. I wrote a lot about it in my journal, actually. So, oh God, this is the thing that I think that the first chapter threw me off a lot because there was a continuity error, I believe, in the first chapter, like on the first page. So there's these different bands that you wear that indicate what group you're in. And in like the very first page, it says that she's wearing a black band, which is later explained to be sanitation. But then she's not in sanitation. So that's confusing to me. And I was like, is this gonna be a plot point for later? Does she like collect the bands and then, no, that wasn't a thing. So that bugged me first off. And I don't know if I was like missing anything. Her dad calling her little flower, very cringy to me. I was like, I kind of like take notes as I'm reading. I really hope that the main love interest doesn't start calling her little flower, because that is just, he didn't, so it's fine. Let's see. Okay, so approximately on like page 150, so there's this character called Kaleo, and I don't really feel like he was developed, or he was too close to other characters, like in their mannerisms and stuff, that I had trouble remembering who the heck that guy was. It was kind of cool because they it ended up having some features of the third Hunger Games books, which I really liked. Yeah, and then I just felt like this followed, here's the big thing. Okay, I should have reviewed this before I done this, but that's fine. I felt like the main character followed a very cookie cutter romantasy, not that this is romantasy, I guess it could be considered, but it's not fantasy, so it's dystopian. Like a cookie cutter kind of plot or character development where she's really jaded and sad about things in her past, and then the main love interest like brings her out of her shell, and now she's ready to like be part of whatever's going on. So I just didn't find it to be very inventive. The character was annoying. There was that like the gray bands and the black bands, and then the character development just wasn't as good as in Conform. I feel like maybe I was swayed from the very first part of being like, wait, what? With the bands, but I just didn't think this was very good. And I'm really sad because I really liked Conform, and I will read more books by this author. But now I'm wondering, like, was I swayed into liking Conform? I don't know. I liked it, I thought, but I just really did not like this. It was not very good. And some of the book girlies on the Instagrams and the talks are saying it's good, and I don't agree. It wasn't. So. Okay, the next one we have is my audiobook that I read. So this is by Reese Witherspoon and Harlan Coben, or Coben Harlan, something like that. So it was a like duel. So Reese Witherspoon obviously is a celebrity, and then Harlan Coben, or Coben Harlan, it's on the screen. He is like a established thriller writer, so they wrote this thriller together, I assume. Her name is listed first, so I don't know if it was edited by him, or I don't know how that came out, but I know it was really heavily advertised as being her book. So I saw it was like a $4.99 Apple deal at some point, so I did buy it because I was interested in it. I like a thriller, and I wanted to read more thrillers and mysteries this year. And I just found the character to be really inconsistent. Again, I believe I gave this 2 stars. It was better than Beneath because I liked the characters a little bit better. There were a few characters that I was like, okay, yeah, I like this guy. But the main protagonist is supposed to be this very smart, very brilliant plastic surgeon who like does all of these things for other people, like had this like charity where she helped like kids with cleft lips and like that kind of thing. She's a plastic surgeon, and her friend and her husband all created this thing. Her husband ends up dying, and there's mystery surrounding that, and she doesn't know there's mystery surrounding it, but there is apparently. And she falls on hard times, and she's recruited to go work, do some work for a Russian oligarch. And because she can't practice in the US anymore, she loses her license. And this is where I'm like, she is very stupid. Like, she doesn't like draw any conclusions that a normal person would draw when she's like, why am I here? Why do you want this plastic surgery? Why do you think? Like, I think that ends up being something, I think it shouldn't have been, those thoughts shouldn't have been left out, even if the character supposedly had them, because like, it just makes me think that you were dumb, like unreliable narrator kind of thing. And so it kind of took me out of the story a little bit, being like, why is she so stupid? Now the twists and the turns change things, and those weren't bad. I didn't hate that. But the main character, I really just couldn't get over her like consistencies issues. I didn't think that she was developed into a real personality. I felt like she was like a whole bunch of different people in one, if that makes sense. And I was thinking about seeing this from like a movie perspective, and I don't really think it would be very good. I don't think it would be a very good movie. So, yeah, so I pretty much just wrote like, so far this is an intriguing story, but the NC seems a little naive, like doesn't understand why the guy wants plastic surgery. She's supposed to be smart. She makes a lot of stupid decisions that I don't think someone of her caliber is supposed to. And then she also has a lot of like first world problems, which bugged me. So 2 stars. Okay, next we have The Awakening, which is the first book in the Vampire Diaries, which I did not know. The Awakening for Vampire Diaries and for Zodiac Academy are the same. That's the same title. I wish I had known that, because I would have read it a while ago for like a Herkyet Secret Challenge, or I could have done it for like a secret challenge coming up for grade 3, but I'll have to find something else. So The Awakening, which is the first book in the Vampire Diaries, I was just like needing something fun. I think I gave this like 2.5 stars or 3 stars, something like that. Yeah, I think like 2.75, something like that. It was fine. I thought it was going to be a lot more fun than it actually is. And like being a Vampire Diaries fan, and then not fan, but like I've watched the show. I've never finished it or anything. I watched a couple of seasons, but I never like finished it. So I don't know what happens in the end, but there's a lot of differences. So it was hard for me to like wrap my brain around these different characters, and like the whole plot devices of Elena and Damon and Stefan all coming together is quite different. So it was hard for me to like wrap my mind around that. And so once I was able to do that, I found it like mediocre at best. Twilight is fully copied from the Vampire Diaries though. Like I was shocked at like, oh, there's the reading minds and him wanting to drink her blood and like all these things that like are the initial contact between Bella and Edward are very similar to Stefan and Elena. So I was like, oh, this is copied. I didn't know that. Not copied, but heavily inspired by. So yeah, it just wasn't that good. Will I continue the series? I don't know. If it comes out of the jar, maybe I will. It's just not, I was expecting also more to happen. I feel like nothing really happened. It was like a couple of episodes of the show. So it wasn't that long of a book or anything. And I think there's only 4 in the series, and then it like expands out. I'm sure the show has a lot more going on than the books do, because they're not very long and, you know, they're YA. So it was mediocre at best. It was fine. It was also written in like 1991 or something, so it makes sense. But yeah. Okay. Then we started a new video project, which I haven't released that video yet, nor have I read any other books for the project, so hopefully it will. If you can guess what the video project is based on this book, that would be exciting. Leave your guesses down below. But I read The 100 by Cass Morgan. Now, this is a book that I have had in the past. I definitely bought this when it first came out and read the series. I don't know if I read all of them or anything, but I definitely read at least the first one. I remember having a box set, but I don't know what happened to those books. Like, they probably went to college with me and then got lost, who knows. But I did end up buying them again, like maybe a year ago. And I'd watched the show, but I had read the books before I watched the show, so it was a little bit different than the Vampire Diaries, where I kind of knew that this was going to be different from the book, and that was like already in my mind before the show was. I don't know if that makes any sense. It was just as good as I remember. It's like, you know, YA. People, basically it's a post-apocalyptic, everyone goes to space to survive the nuclear war or whatever has happened, disaster. And then the ship starts to break down and they have to send people down to Earth to see if they can survive. They end up sending 100 children fugitives, and things ensue from there. So, and there's definitely some storylines and stuff that are different than in the show. It's very different. So if you like the 100, like the premise, I think you would enjoy the books as well. It's just different. So I read that. I think I gave it like 3 stars. Let's see, it looks like 3.5, because I like this world and like the story and all of that. But it wasn't like anything mind-blowing. So like 3.5 is what I think I gave it. Okay, next we have the last physical book that I have with me, and that is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. This is my 3rd favorite book that I read this month. I gave it a solid 4 stars. I thought this was good. It was good. It wasn't great and amazing, but it was good. It follows this woman who is married to, she's from England, and she marries this like businessman, thinking she's going to America and having a new life and having a great like new exciting life away from her family in England, only to find that it's literally the exact same and she's unhappy. So she has a lot of trouble like getting in with the other families in Kentucky, because like he was supposed to marry someone in Kentucky and there's all these things, and she seems like a snob, culture, all of that. And this is also in like 1930 and 1940s. So pre-World War II, post-World War I. And she like people just like don't like her, which makes sense for that time. It's based in Kentucky. And so there's this thing called the traveling library that Eleanor Roosevelt initiated, and this was a real thing. So it's based off a true story where women would go around communities bringing books to people who couldn't otherwise get them to increase literacy and education in small communities. Great idea. So she joins this library and, gets these relationships with all of the other women who are in the Packhorse Library, which is what it's called for some reason or another. And there's, a murder that happens, and it's not really a central theme of the story. It's just something that kind of happens, and then their relationships are explored through that. So I liked it because it wasn't a murder mystery. It was like you kind of know something's going to happen in the beginning of the book from the first chapter, and then that doesn't happen for a while, and you kind of forget about it, and you're like, oh yeah. So, and it's, I really liked it because it really explored like female friendships, but also other kinds of relationships in that time and how things were expected to be, and people who maybe didn't quite fit the norm. And then also had like a romance for her, even though she was married to somebody else. So that was nice. I thought it was a good book. Again, not anything like crazy, because it was like a privileged woman looking at people who weren't as privileged and trying to help them, which is always a good thing to explore. However, a lot of the other historical fiction novels have a lot more like in the weeds, I guess, than I'm used to. So I liked this. It wasn't my absolute favorite historical fiction. I do love historical fiction, specifically like Kristen Hanna. I think everyone loves Kristen Hanna. Jodi Picoult has written a couple that I liked. There's definitely some other historical fictions that I've enjoyed, like Wayward. I'm just looking at my shelves, but it was good. It wasn't like my most favorite thing, but it was a very good book. We read this for book club. I don't think I was able to go to the meeting, which is sad, but I think I was, there's some little children who go, like people with kids, and sometimes they come, and I wasn't feeling great, so I didn't want to like get the kids sick, so I didn't end up going, but I will be going this time, I swear. So that was that. And then the number 2 book that I read was the very long one. This is my second favorite book of the month, and this was The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodgson. The only reason this isn't a 5-star book for me was because it was so long. I wish it was 2 books. Oh my gosh. It was 660-ish pages. And yeah, it just like, there was a lot going on. It gave me very similar writing and world building as Priory of the Orange Tree. So if you liked that, you would probably also enjoy The Raven Scholar. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought that it was going to drag on. I was very afraid of it, just like I was afraid of Priory of the Orange Tree, and didn't need to be. They were both really, really good books. So let's see if I wrote anything about this one. I'm not sure I did. I haven't been making a lot of notes. So it's reading faster than I really thought it would be. There wasn't a lot happening in the beginning, but I didn't mind because the writing was so nice. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that book. I think I gave it 4.5 stars. Really enjoyable for me. I really like a long epic fantasy, and there is another book coming out not too far from now, so I should be able to remember everything when that one comes out. Hopefully it's not quite as long, but it was very like, if you're a fan of like the epic fantasy genre, I think you will really like this. There is like a murder that happens that is being investigated on the side of the like full story. So if you don't really like that in books, then keep that in mind, but I don't mind that, and I think it added to the story, so I thought it was really good. And then the number 1 book that I read was a reread for me, so unfortunately it doesn't affect any of the stats, but I reread Red Rising. So Golden Sun was on my TBR, and I'm still reading that, but I didn't feel like, I could have watched a recap and remembered everything that happened, but I enjoyed the book so much the first time that I really wanted to just read it again, and I thought I would have enough time, but I did not. So if you saw my TBR game, you know that I only had 4 books on my TBR in the month of May from my game, and I was sorely punished for it in June. So for not finishing that TBR. So if you haven't watched that, definitely go check it out. I play a TBR game called Field of Reeds. It's a baseball inspired TBR game where I pick out books and go around the bases and try to score a run. I was punished severely for not reading the 4 books on my TBR, as I should be, but I will never do that again. So I got 15, which is just not gonna happen. I haven't read 1 book from the TBR yet, because it's like when that happens, you're like, should I even try? But like, I'm going to read some of them, I just haven't. I mean, I'm reading 1 of them, okay? Anyway, yeah, Red Rising is such a good book. I really enjoyed it again. I think I gave it 4.5 stars again. The only thing that I'm not like so keen on in that book is that the main character is supposed to be 16, but in my mind, for some reason, that's not matching up of how I am thinking of what the main character Darrow looks like. I'm picturing him as like much bigger and more mature because he's dealing with a ton of mature things. However, in his life, like, you know, being 16 is considered like being a full adult based on their society. So, you know, like his maturity level kind of matches up. It's just hard for me to picture that he is only 16 and then I think 20 by the end of the book. So it was hard for me to like, I felt like he was more 20 in the beginning. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think he was 18 at the end. I don't know. I felt like he was in his early 20s instead of in his teens. So that's the only thing that like kind of like makes me be like, eh. But otherwise, I love the plot. I love the world. I love the games and trials aspect, and you just jump right into it, which I didn't remember. I thought there was a lot of more lead up to it, but it happened a lot earlier than I remember. I read it, I believe, like 1.5 years ago, so I could have watched a recap or something, but I wanted to read it again, and I'm glad I did because I really enjoyed it again. So number 1 book, not that surprising, was Red Rising. I wish I could have put it like, you know, a little, like I wish I could give it 5 stars. It's just that like one thing that like I'm like, anyway. So that is everything that I read in the month of May. So we had Beneath, Gone Before Goodbye, The Giver of Stars, The 100, The Raven Scholar, Red Rising, and The Awakening by which was The Vampire Diaries. So my stats have changed a little bit, not for the better, unfortunately. So we started, we now have, I'll put up the stats here so you can see like the May and like May 1st and June 1st. So on June 1st, I now have 23 audiobooks instead of 24. So that's good. That number went down. I have 147 ebooks, which is 4 more than before, and 137 physical books, which is 3 more than before. So we're supposed to be net negative here, but it didn't work. We weren't net negative. In terms of series, I am in progress of 27 series now because I started 2 more. I caught up on Beneath, so that increased that, but then I got another book for another series, so that left my like in progress at or up to date at 8, because I got the Ballad of Fallen Dragons, so that moved it up to 9, but then I read Beneath, so it moved it back down to 8. And then I started The 100 and The Awakening and The Vampire Diaries, and I didn't finish any series, so there's that. So we increased our number of series by 2. Didn't finish any series, but we did like, I already explained it, but anyway, I haven't bought a single book in the month of June. I have picked out my first reads choice for Amazon, so that does add an ebook to my totals. I've only finished 1 physical book so far this month, but I haven't bought any, so we are net negative there. Again, my TBR is 15 books, so I doubt like I'm going to be able to, you know, read all of those. So irrelevant to this video, but it does stress me out. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment down below, and definitely subscribe if you haven't, because if you want to see my Herkyed 2 update and my plans for Herkyed 3 and yeah, my TBR game. And if you've made it this far and don't want to know what to say, but like want to put a comment, which I appreciate, of course, please leave a star emoji for The Giver of Stars. And I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.